when Kyle does it, but not when you do for some reason.
Weird. All right, we are live. So welcome, everyone.
Chris can intro. Chris was boss out of before. Let Chris lead the way here.
Let's do it.
Probably mid anyway, so.
What up? Games and stuff. Microsoft. We're here discussing the Scorpio. Wait, sorry. The Xbox 2. Wait, what is it, Ryan?
Can we just say, terrible name. We're going to talk a lot of stuff about this Microsoft conference, but man,
Xbox
out of all the things they announced, terrible name. It's easy to get confused with their first one, just like Nintendo made that mistake with the Wii U. It's called the Xbox One. It's called the Xbox One X. It's meant to fit in their lineup with the other Xbox One families, such as the Xbox One S. You know, not easy to get confused between those two, considering it's just a letter. Oh my goodness. The X. Why couldn't they just call it Scorpio? That's a cool name. Sony did the same thing. They called it PS4 Pro when they could have called it Neo. Doesn't Neo sound better than Pro? Neo. He was the one. You guys familiar?
No.
I mean, like Kyle said, the reason they did is the acronym of Xbox One X is Xbox.
Yeah, it's a terrible. No, I think it's a dumb name. I think they should have just rebranded to begin with. Like, I don't think they should have called it Xbox One. They should have just called it the Xbox. If you're going to start doing this phone thing where it's like we're going to put a new version out, then just call it what it is and then put the new version on it. Like, rebrand it its name. It is the Xbox. That's all anyone calls it. Same with the PlayStation. No one puts. Come on, it's the PlayStation.
They should have just brought the original Xbox back. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, that size and scale. That's what we want. All right.
Absolutely.
Jane's just sitting there going like, man, our introductions were way more formal in the videos we did. What the hell is this? This is the E3 2017 reaction to Microsoft. It's a pretty big conference, guys. There was 42 games shown, they said.
I was impressed. I honestly, overall, I came in with low expectations because Microsoft hasn't always done good preferences in the past since I've watched, but this was genuinely good in like pretty much every way. And there was enough pacing that they would put like a couple of, okay, reasonable titles, and then bam, you'd have something like an Xbox One X or Xbox One X X235 exclusive.
I feel like we should get the naysaying out of the way at the upfront here and just talk about the problems with the conference, which were not really the conference itself, more so kind of the situation Microsoft finds himself in. And obviously they announced an upgraded console, the Xbox One X. It's the most powerful console. It legitimately is. There has been reports that, first-party titles are going to take advantage of the Xbox One X's power. Third-party titles aren't. Bungie just revealed that because the PS4 Pro is only 30 frames per second, they're not making 60 frames per second on the Xbox One X with Destiny 2. It's going to be 30 frames. So it's just, and that game's also coming out on PC. So it's just one of those things where you're just like, well, everyone's going to play that game on PC. Anyway, the real big naysayer, I think, out of this conference and kind of, it happened near the end, and it was kind of it didn't let the air out of the room. It was just kind of the thud that everyone thought would happen, and did. Kind of people were hoping that Microsoft might take a cut, but they obviously couldn't or aren't, and that's the price. $500 at launch is simply too expensive for a console. That's not going to have I'm not going to say it's going to have a poor launch. I don't think that. It's just they're not going to be swooping in and winning sales battles when when Sony already has an upgraded console. Sure, it's not as powerful, but it's already been out for over a year, and you've got to expect that thing's going to get bundled with games for cheaper come Christmas time. And Microsoft's not in a position to do that with this new hardware. So it'll probably be a few years before we're talking about something. And I just hope that we don't end up in a situation where every 3 years we're talking about another version of these consoles, like an Xbox One P. Like, no, enough. If you're going to do that, then you need to present a different model entirely. It can't be $500. That's way too expensive for an upgrade model. Like, if they're going to do that, it should be a trade-in option. Let me trade in my extra one and get X off the new one. Like,
I think, I agree that the price point is the sticking point for this console. The thing is, though, I think I figured it out. So PC gaming has experienced something almost like a miracle over the past few years, especially. I mean, as Steam has become more popular, and gaming components, like you can make a fairly cheap gaming PC, that kind of thing. As all of that has come down in price and become easier to use, basically because of Steam single-handedly, you have this big resurgence in PC gaming, and people who want the absolute best experience will always go to a PC because
absolutely,
it is.
if they have the money for it, absolutely.
If they have the money for it, exactly, yeah. And that's always been the sticking point, is the money, right? But now, if you take that cost and let's say you started coming out with an Xbox version every year and a half that has 80% of the performance of a high-end PC, but at 40% of the cost or less, then you have all of a sudden created a hardware proposition that isn't like a cell phone one. Like cell phones, you throw them out after a while, and they get slower and slower over time because eventually the software just catches up to them. But you do this, and you keep your games backwards compatible, just like they are on the PC to a very large extent, which is what they're doing between. Oh my God, it's Kyle.
Keep going, Shane.
Yeah. So basically, like, but think about this though. So if you get a PC now, you could theoretically play games that are 20, 30 almost years old in some cases, and you can do it without having to buy extra hardware, right? Or pay for extra games, that kind of thing. And I feel like that's kind of what Microsoft's strategy is here. So the games that are coming out for Xbox One X will also work on the Xbox One S and the Xbox One, which means
here's the kicker for me, Shane. All the exclusive games, aka the reason you're buying an Xbox console in the beginning, every single exclusive Xbox game, which means non-third party, has Play Anywhere, which means if you own a Windows 10 PC, you can play it for the same cost, which completely negates the reason to buy a new Xbox.
Yeah, you may as well just get a PC.
I'll play all my third-party stuff on the console I already own, because remember, PS4 has doubled up Microsoft in sales. And I'll play all the exclusive stuff on PC. To me, their angle is, don't buy an Xbox. We don't need to. Just like, at what point is it just a waste of time for them to have hardware?
Yeah. Well, if you're
especially at that price, at that price, what argument is there? Especially if you already have a PC, you go, well, I don't ever need. Yeah. For most users who already have a PC and a PS4, there is zero reason to buy an Xbox One.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Or X, literally zero.
Especially because I don't know, you guys probably talked about this already, but I can't stay very long. I'm in the middle of things, but I was like, hey, they're doing a thing, so I'll hop in. Xbox One X is the dumbest fucking name ever. Because you do the abbreviation XBOX. It's Xbox.
$500. I just can't get over that $500
and
price tag.
$500. Fuck that.
Because here's the big reason I can't get over it, Gene. I recognize that this happens, but if you look at console cycles over the past 10 years, every console manufacturer who has failed or lost out on the market, you look through the history, are the ones that overpriced themselves at launch. You look at the PS3, what was the big, like it had cell, it had all this other, it had a lot of higher tech, but it cost too much. Like people don't go to console, like you said yourself, there's two choices. You spend a lot of money and get a PC, or you don't spend a lot of money and get a console. Those are your options. The moment you put something in the middle of that price range, it's not attracting to anyone, because you're either you're in your mindset, if you're looking at $500, let's say you have a PC with an old graphics card, but everything else is good. A new graphics card might be $800. $500 is too close to $800. $300 is a different story. $300 is where you go, shit, I could wait a year and just dump $300 and get a bunch of games too, right? Especially on an older console now, you go, I could get a bunch of games for that. But $500, man, I could just spend $300 more and just get a graphics card, right? And then I could play everything. Like it's just that middling price point is not a good area.
The real problem is that the average consumer are just fucking mammals. So deal with it, because at that point it's just over. Anyways,
but I mean,
games aside,
I agree with you. There certainly is the backward compatibility angle that they're looking into.
But
is pretty impressive.
Check in.
All right.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Since we're talking about this new console, the backward compatibility angle seems to be their big thing. And obviously the big announcement was not only is it 360 games backward compatible, I should note too, not all titles are backward compatible. All first-party titles are backward compatible, and then just like their 360 system, it is up to the publisher to determine if third-party titles are backward compatible. And if you haven't used the Xbox One's backward compatibility system, even though I don't have one, I have an idea of how it works with discs. Your disc doesn't read. Your disc gives you access to download the game, so you don't have to rebuy it. Right? So that would work the same with Xbox titles. You'd be able to put your Xbox disc into the console to verify that you own that and then download it from the store. The game they announced on stage that would obviously backwards compatible was Crimson Skies. And I'm sure there's a litany of other games that people are going, hopefully it's backwards compatible. And this will obviously be, there'll be a list out there. I'm sure people can find on the internet that'll tell them exactly what games from the original Xbox are backwards compatible. But yeah, it certainly is an argument they're making for preservation that I agree with you on.
Well, because I'm not saying
I think in 2 or 3 years when this console goes on sale, and when you can buy this console for $300 with 3 or 4 games, there's a bargain there. But
yeah, and I'm not saying that their strategy is going to be successful per se. It may not be. I mean, some people may just see this as similar to a smartphone upgrade as an alternative to getting a new computer, maybe. But because when you can play 4K with HDR and all of that, you have a very
4K TV.
If you have a 4K TV,
it's still not out there. That's not as widespread as HD was at the time. So.
But even if you've got a 1080, they do super sampling, which is a real thing. It's not something that Microsoft just made up.
Yeah.
Which will make 1080 games look better on a 1080 screen. Which will make games look better on a 1080 screen. Yeah.
But as we saw with Destiny, sadly, it's one of those cases where as Microsoft makes the case to play not only first-party but third-party games on their console. All first-party games will be taking advantage of the advancements of the Xbox One X, like Shane was talking about, not just the super sampling, but other things like increasing frame rate, increasing load times. But third-party games that have loyalties to Sony and them are choosing not to take advantage of features on the Xbox One X. And this is where you get into that stupid marketing bullshit thing where I'm not saying I support that either. That sucks because if this console has features, it'd be nice if the games you buy on it support it. But at the end of the day, this just sways the argument more in. Well, let's just play this on PC instead, right? Like that's.
I'm PC Master Race all the way, so you don't have to convert me at all. But so that was interesting. Just to put in perspective, kind of how powerful it is, just based on raw computing power. So they mentioned it was 6 teraflops. So a mid high end graphics card right now, the GTX 1070, is 6.5 teraflops. So that puts you, assuming that all of the power in the Xbox One X goes towards games, that puts you at like a very high tier of game playability. And because you don't have to run as heavy an operating system as like Windows, for example, you can definitely be on par. I think you can definitely be on par. I think in theory with what you could get out of a GTX 1070, which is a very high level, just below the top end of graphics cards and computers right now. So for right now, it's a pretty good deal, relatively speaking.
Relative. Depending on what you play and how many if you don't own a console at all and you only own a PC and you're sitting there going, I want to get into the consoles field, but I want to get it for first-party titles. I mean, I would sit there and say, well, you could play all of Microsoft's first-party stuff on your PC. You actually have no reason to get anything, unless you wanted to play other companies' first-party titles, right? Like if you wanted to play Nintendo or Sony's first-party titles, I think it makes more sense to get their consoles because there's no other way to play them. If you have a PC already, you can play all of Microsoft's offerings for $80 or for the cost of the game. You don't have to. I mean, the only downside there is you can't buy them on Steam. You have to use Windows Store or whatever. But we'll just quickly cover here. I'll run through a list of all the games that are getting Xbox One X updates. So these are the first-party Microsoft games that will be getting updates after. So these are games that came out on Xbox One. Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3, Killer Instinct, Halo Wars 2, and Minecraft are getting 4K updates for Xbox X for free. And they also say 30 other titles are, including such titles as Final Fantasy 15, Resident Evil 7, which I actually thought that was exclusive to Sony, but I then remembered that the VR is exclusive to Sony. Ghost Recon Wildlands and Rocket League. So new console, not really as big of a deal as a real new console because it's not like a new console launch. It's basically just as Shane said, the smartphone upgrade version.
We call it a hardware refresh in the biz.
One of the big reasons I think cell phones are able to do that is because you can actually just pay $0 and upgrade your device for free and just get on it. Like usually they just extend your plan a couple of years, so you're not actually paying nothing. You're paying it over the course of X months. You're never always paying it up front. Like that's the thing that like when you're buying a console, you're dumping $500 up front right then and there. Whereas if you have a plan with a phone, it's like we'll charge you an extra $30 a month for 6 months. In your mind, you don't have to pay anything. You just walk in and leave with a new phone. I can't walk in and leave with a new Xbox.
This is true. This is very true.
Like it like the model is just different, but yeah. All right. So that focuses on, I wouldn't say the negative, just kind of it sucks that it has to be this pricey. One day it'll drop in price, and I think Microsoft will begin to start getting a little more competitive in the space. I mean, they needed to release an upgraded version because Sony did as well. And I think them releasing the version that's more powerful makes sense. I mean, you're the last to release. If you didn't release the most powerful version, what are you doing, right? All right. Games, though. There were lots of games. And I will say there were lots of great-looking games. Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Software-wise, there was a lineup here. Forza Motorsport 7. Chris, you're a Forza guy. What do you think of Forza Motorsport 7?
They always look great. I mean, they always look great. That's the thing. It's more of a serious experience rather than like a Need for Speed. Look good.
Yeah, Horizon is the Forza series that's kind of a little goofier, open world and stuff like that.
I mean,
Motorsport is their equivalent of Gran Turismo.
It always looks good. To me, it's just, like just watching them race around, you see the water on the track. It's like stuff like that makes that game like visually.
It's all the time, but like racing games demo new consoles better than anything ever because we've just gotten so good at making cars look not even just realistic, hyper realistic. They look more than real. They look like they're from a reality that I'm not even in yet. To a degree, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a game for those who don't mind just racing around the track. Like, there's not a big story or anything like that to them.
Did you guys like the reaction to the new Porsche that they?
That shouldn't have been in that press conference. There was a cringeworthy moment. Come on, they revealed a car at a press conference.
My God.
One of the audience was just like, "Are we supposed to care? Clap? Okay."
It was. Oh God! There was something beautifully awful about it. It was great.
Yeah. It had
for those who hadn't watched it. So they introduced this brand new Porsche car that for the first time ever anywhere was being previewed at E3 with Forza because of Porsche's long-standing partnership with Microsoft, which they mentioned 50 times.
Actually, they just got that. For the longest time, Microsoft couldn't get Porsche for their game, and that's why they did that. It's because it was a big deal that they finally got the Porsche rights. So then they were like, not only did we finally get the Porsche rights, we're going to reveal the brand new Porsche in our game and on stage.
So what ended up happening is they did, because if anyone's ever seen a car show before, when they unveil new cars, basically there's usually lights and there's smoke and there's like a veil, or the lighting is done in such a way that you can only see the silhouette of the car. So they did that in this, and the car like slowly like turned around, I think, and then it just boom, and there it was, the car. And I swear to you, you could hear individual people's breathing. It was so quiet. Nobody did anything. It was they eventually someone were like, yeah.
So I know you didn't watch EA this year, Shane, but the lady who plays the lady in Star Wars Battlefront 2, she's an actress from, like, I think, Chris, you said True Blood. They had her out in costume to talk game specs, and of course everyone's just sitting there going and then she was like talking PvP battles and multiplayer maps, and you're just like, yeah, what's happening right now? She came out with stormtroopers too, by the way. She came out with stormtroopers because,
see, if there was any noise made, it was guys whistling at her. So
yeah. These always have these kind of effects when they bring celebrities, or they try to do the big moments that are just like not fit for a press conference, and everyone in the audience is just like this would have been a cool thing to do at a car show. Car guys would get excited, but you're not at a car show. Like, you realize we play games, like there are car people who play games, but that's not everyone. I've never played a Metro game, but Metro Exodus coming out next year.
Ooh, yeah.
Visually, those games have always looked so good. Like, you have to micromanage your breathing and like your radiation and all this other stuff, like in those games. But it seems like there's also like an open world to this. Like in the previous ones, you were kind of stuck underground, and if you went outside at all, you would have to you would take damage. Now it seems like there's a little bit more going on, but as with much of this conference, they were looking for showpieces of why their new thing looks really pretty. Even on a 1080 stream, I was sitting there going, my goodness, the detail in this game looks amazing. Yeah. And while you were watching it, Metro, like, it just visually certainly has a style and a look.
Yeah, I love that. The way that it looked and the way that it seemed to play, like the gameplay seemed fairly smooth, where you can do things like there's a destructible environment and the big guy that you fight there, and then there's like the clippy hooky thing, which I don't remember the name of right now, zip line, that you just like smoothly latch onto and fly away. Well done for a showpiece.
Yeah, I mean, I know the last Metro was, is it Redux that was the last one, I believe?
I think so. Yeah, because
I think that
was
combined the two together. I think that
Yeah,
combined Metro 23 and the other Metro that came out.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Anyway, I remember like it was decently well reviewed, but it was, the pluses are always like I believe the visual aspects and the AI itself. Um, in fact, I'm looking at a review now where the negatives were silly accents and monster crowds. So I mean, all I'll say is the game looked good. I've never played one. I've thought about buying one.
Distinct. It has a distinct look.
Cheap.
Like there's not a lot of games
great.
out there
That's
making
the
things
sick
like
one.
that. You know what I mean? Like there's a sense of atmosphere there that you just don't get with open world games usually.
And it's not so it's not as desolate as Followed either, right? It kind of looks like something really catastrophic happened, but the world is not destroyed. It's not a wasteland per se. Things are crumbling, but it's not like it's not like you're in the middle of a desert somewhere for most of the time with radioactive water everywhere. You can see hints of that, but overall it's not like that.
Sometimes people use that desolate to try to make it so that they don't have to put assets in it. So you can just show things, a couple buildings destroyed, and then otherwise just a bunch of empty sand, as you talk about, a bunch of empty space. Clearly, they're trying to show a lived-in world where something happened, and now you're navigating through said lived-in world. And that lived-in perspective is really important because it gives you a sense of who was there, what they were doing, and that definitely is good for world building. We covered it in the Ubisoft press conference, but I'll let Chris kind of give his thoughts. Another Assassin's Creed game. If this one's in Egypt, they use the overused Origins tag, which I'm pretty sure, as I was saying to Shane, and Ubisoft has been used in like 17 different other games as a subtitle. I'm sick of hearing the word Origins. And superhero. Everything with subtitles uses the word Origins at some point. I get it. It was the original story, the origin story. You come up with something better as a subtitle. Anyway, what did you think of Assassin's Creed Egypt?
Well, first off, Origins is probably my favorite part of the game. I love that name is Origins. In fact, I'm going to probably keep restating Origins quite a bit in this.
I think you're going to change your name to Chris Miller or Origins.
Big middle name.
What is the Chris Miller origin? Anyway, okay. Go ahead. Egypt.
You don't want to know. Don't think it's very PG. So, yeah, I mean, it looks all right. I mean, visually, I've never really had an issue with Assassin's Creed games. I mean, that's something that to me is never an issue. It really is how it plays. And, there was a lot of Assassin's Creed. I mean, it's still Assassin's Creed at the end of the day. But I didn't think there was, I thought the fighting looked similar to Syndicate. I don't know how much they changed it because Syndicate was in itself a change from what they normally do. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see more of it. I don't think they really showed off much that's different, but it wasn't all that long either. So I'd be curious to see.
They showed more newbie. Have you played an Ubisoft game before, like Far Cry or Ghost Recon Wildlands or Splinter Cell? If you have, then you'll be familiar with what's in Assassin's Creed Origins because it seems like all the other systems that they wanted to put into that, that they have in their other games, have now finally maneuvered and made their way into the Assassin's Creed game. Things like stealth in bushes, things like tagging enemies with your bird. They got rid of the mini-map. They've added, I believe, a different gear and loot system. Pretty much the type of stuff that you're familiar with in an Ubisoft game. They're like I was saying to Shane, their games pretty much seem made by committee at this point. Like every different version of studios work on different aspects of their game, and at a certain point, all the elements feel same because you've seen them in other games. So nothing wrong with that, but it's like I think I said this to Shane. I think it's really going to come down to, is the experience in Assassin's Creed Origins worth your time? Like, yes, all those systems, but is what's beyond that worth it? And it could be. That's a skin they haven't explored, and I actually think there is some ground to explore in it. The Egyptian skin, I think that hasn't been done. Like that's a skin that hasn't been done to death yet, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, I actually didn't mind Syndicate.
That's fair.
I know some people didn't like it very much, but I actually thought there were some different things that were happening. I liked the scene. Like for me, it was not too bad. I thought the characters were at least charismatic enough to. They're not Ezio, but I mean, I don't think you need to do another Ezio either. I thought Black Flag was good. Unity was trash. I don't even recognize it as a game.
Like all these subtitles. Why do all subtitles have to end in Y? Usually, not all of them.
See, Black Flag was a great name. Like that was a great name. And, I don't like Chronicles, Origins, and shit like that. It's just like I feel like almost every game has at least one in their franchise that has like a Chronicles or Origins. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I'll play it right away. I think it's one of those usually Assassin's Creed games are ones that wait.
So now Microsoft went on to there was a point in their press conference where they just started pumping trailers out without any break. A lot of them weren't big games. A lot of them were AAA. It was indie or stuff. So I'll kind of just start running down thoughts, and if you guys, game titles, and if you guys want to stop and talk about anything specifically as I run it down, just let me know. So we'll start here. There was a game called Deep Rock Galactic, which was it almost looked like Starship Troopers, except with like a Minecrafty skin. A bunch of dudes running around shooting aliens and things of that variety. It kind of first person. It almost looked like a first person Helldivers, to be completely honest with you, which was a dual joystick shooter that released on PS4. It looks okay. That looks like an indie game.
It does.
Any thoughts? No. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, which I have not played yet, but I've seen lots of on PC, and it looks amazing. The fact that this is coming as a console launch exclusive. So for those who don't know what those specific words means, it means that for the launch of the Xbox One X, Player Unknown Battlegrounds will be exclusive to Xbox, and it'll be on an exclusivity window, which is usually like a year. And then it'll be probably released on PS4, and I'd imagine Nintendo Switch as well. That's usually how those exclusivity deals work. I know, Chris, you're a little familiar with Player Unknown Battlegrounds, right? Jane, are you?
That game's rad as hell.
I've never played before, but I've heard of it. It's basically
it's basically just
free-for-all in modern times.
It's kind of more free-for-all is not the right word, because free-for-all implies that like if you were to play Call of Duty and start a free-for-all, it's not the same. So when you start a free-for-all in Call of Duty, sure, even if you had, let's assume you had the same player count, even of 100, you would all spawn at spawn points on the map. This is a battle royal. So you fly over the map with your squad, if you have a squad, and then pick a point on this exceptionally large map to parachute onto. Think like giant, like a whole, like an island country. And then like a DZ or an Arma, you grab your weapons and your gear wherever you can find it in abandoned houses. But when you're parachuting and falling and you go to do all that, all the other players of the count that reaches upwards of 100 are with you, and they can kill you. And at intermittent times throughout the game, the map actually gets smaller. And if you stay on the outside of the map, you die, forcing the confrontation to be in a smaller window of the map, so that if the players want to stay alive and win, they have to get into that circle. The problem is, as the number of players stay high and that circle gets smaller and smaller, you're putting a large player count in a very small base, forcing the action. It creates this very tense experience where you go through lulls where you see nobody, and then suddenly someone's hiding in a building or someone's hiding in a door, and you don't know what they have, and you don't know what gear they have. And of course, if you kill them, you can pick up their gear. There are boats, there are vehicles, and of course, they announced with this that they're adding things like, diving through windows and a bunch of other things. It looks interesting, I'll say. And I've seen enough footage of it to say that I definitely want to play this game more. Fantastic game. It looks amazing. Like, it just seems like the exact type of thing that's been missing in a lot of multiplayer games. It's like too many multiplayer games just come out with a mode. Like, oh, this mode's what you use in every standard multiplayer mode. And it's like, why don't you guys start actually experimenting with modes and give us something we're not used to, or give us a mode that's a different twist on multiplayer in general? And to me, that's what this feels like. I mean, the way you scavenge for goods and you have no idea based on where you're going to land where people are or what equipment's where, because it's all random. And I believe they're also working on more maps, because right now the game only has a single map. So the idea would be to add more maps later. So anyway, that's PlayerUnknown's Battleground. I actually didn't see much of this. State of Decay 2.
Hmm.
Zombie game.
Yeah, it's basically so State of Decay. I honestly I've never played State of Decay, but it was really interesting when it first came out. But basically, you have this entire gigantic geographical area, and it's a zombie survival horror game ish. But it also involves base building
Okay.
and I think there's a pretty big focus on cooperative play. Now I don't know if that's cooperative as much with people or if it's more with NPCs. I don't recall if this was a single player game, but the basic idea is that you want to find a place to eventually to find a place to kind of start to rebuild and to like grow your own food and to take care of security, defense, that kind of thing, while still going out and raiding and whatnot. It kind of looks like from what I saw anyways, it looks kind of like the full zombie experience, because you can go into the cities, you can go out into the out of cities, and you can find places that you can hole up in, and you find NPCs along the way. I think they're NPCs.
Okay.
And you kind of like, yeah, it could be. It looks interesting. I thought it was interesting looking.
I like the cooperative multiplayer aspect to it, because that is this game. Well, it's already been out, so we'll have that. So it's kind of a something that I'm definitely interested in checking out at some point. I have a few friends with Xbox Ones, not the one with the X on the end.
Kind of tough to get super excited about zombie things. There's so many zombie things now.
Yeah. Honestly, it's true. It's like superheroes at this point with, some it's just too much of it. Now, I know the first one was pretty well reviewed. I never really played it or checked it out ever.
Yeah,
but I know
Xbox guy. Maybe on PC I'll check this out.
I believe the first one is. Yeah, it is. Well, PC.
So the second one. Yeah, PC. Well, it does Windows 10. I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know the first one got around like a 9 out of 10 from most people that I've read. So
Minecraft. Not only is Minecraft going multi-platform, which means you'll be able to play together on Minecraft on everything. Tablets, VR, Windows 10, and all consoles that it's on. Which means if you're on PS and you're on Xbox, you can still play Minecraft together. Hooray. So, listen, I don't play Minecraft. Minecraft is reportedly one of the biggest games of all time, and all the kids play it. Kids, Minecraft away. The other big Minecraft news, they did a graphical overhaul for Xbox One X, and it's now also in 4K.
I will say, like, it's totally true, though. It is pretty massive. Like, we have classes at my school that have, like, massive projects based around Minecraft.
Is that really where we're at now in the world? Kids are teaching Minecraft's
for
being
media,
used as a teaching tool?
For media.
Is it just because all the building components actually represent so many things that,
Apparently.
Does anyone else find even just the slightest hint of irony at all, that we've literally gotten to the point now where we are making games that consist of gigantic, shitty-looking pixelated blocks in 4K? There's something about that that's so heavy with maybe irony or something else. I don't know. The game is supposed to look like shit, and they are upgrading that shit to 4K, so now you can see 4 times as much, I guess. I don't know.
There was a graphical overhaul so that things were a little larger and not as small pixely blocks. So now they're tall pixel, so that all the buildings look bigger and better. It's better scale, but they're still pixel because that's its look. Yeah, I don't. At a certain point, I'm just like, why don't you just make a real Minecraft, like where I can build real build? Hey, I want to be able to use a Minecraft type engine to build Assassin's Creed looking games. Get me there. That's where I want.
The Sims should just come back.
Yeah. All right. So a bunch of more trailers were run here. We have Dragon Ball Z Fighter game. It's DBZ, but it's a 3v3 fighting game.
Fucking awesome.
That looks like that.
looks insane and batshit as hell.
I believe it is made by the team who does the Guilty Gear fighting games. So they have a degree, if you will, or a proven background. Yeah, the Triple H finisher. They got it.
I'm thinking dog food, but
yeah, that looks fine. I played some DBZ games in my time. I'm not a super DBZ guy. I know a lot of people who are, and I did when growing up too, who were into Sailor Moon and DBZ and anime shit. And I was just like, yeah, this stuff is really dumb. Those people shoot fireballs out of their hands and giant things. Too bad they spend 7 years charging them up, but whatever.
It's all about storyline.
That game looked nuts, though.
That game, to me, a lot of their games have always been 3-dimensional fighter games, so that the idea of doing a 2D team fighting game seems like it's a way better version of that, instead of trying to do these action-y other things. Like that seems like what that should be. That should always just be a Mortal Kombat like, or a or a Marvel vs. Capcom like, or whatever have you. To me, that's the ideal slot for a DBZ. The Darwin Project. That was some sort of cartoony survival game. Not much else to say. There's a lot of survival games out there.
Didn't like the look of it.
The art style is, I didn't think it was that bad. It kind of reminded me of like Clone Wars a little. Not completely though. Not fully clay, but a little more. A little in that direction. But yeah, it looked okay. It's in 4K too, Shane, even though it doesn't really use the assets. Everyone's favorite MMO, Black Desert, is coming to Xbox One. So this is the most notable weird thing for me. It's not called Black Desert Online, which is the name of the MMO. It's called Black Desert. What is this? Is this an RP? What is this, a single player game, or is this the MMO? Why are they just calling it Black Desert? That's what I want to know. I mean, we didn't get information on any of this stuff. This is what, like, at the press conference, so we're not actually like they didn't reveal info like that. The point was they just dumped trailers out, so you're just like, question? Oh no, never mind. So this is just called Black Desert, but it seems like the game. The classes, it has the combat, and it seems to have the world. So yeah, that's actually really cool in my opinion. As someone who's dabbled a little bit in this MMO, I have a roommate here who plays Black Desert Online. Like, that's his game, and there's a lot of impressive. That's a very despite that, like, it's a Korean-based MMO, but it's a very impressive MMO. It's probably got, in my opinion, the best combat system in any single MMO going. It's literally actual button press combos, like a fighting game.
Yeah, for someone who doesn't like MMOs pretty much as a principle, having played a little bit of Black Desert, I like it. I think it's a good game. And the storyline is pretty like disjointed and kind of messed up, and the voice acting is awful.
There for anyway.
But that's not what you're there for. The world is good. The fighting system is really good. The economic system is extremely crazy and over the top, but great. Like, it's super in depth.
Fast.
Yeah, it is. It's gigantic, and it's just there are a lot of good things going for it. So if I did not have a computer capable of running.
I'll say too, the vastness of the world is very relevant, because in Black Desert, despite most MMOs and most games, there is no fast travel. You literally have to get on your horse or walk and run to every destination, and the world is very large. And there are even like large-scale deserts that you can get lost in, where your map and your mini-map go inactive. Like, the game is a big scale. There's a lot there.
Yeah, apparently it is just going to be the PC
MMO
version, but on the console.
Okay.
It's the same otherwise.
Yeah. There was something called The Last Night.
Refresh my memory here.
I don't even remember that. Is it spelled an N or a K?
The Last Night. Oh, it's just with an N.
Yeah. This looked weird. If I remember correctly, what this was like that. This was an indie, and it was like kind of cyberpunky. 2D with like 3D elements. Kind of looked like Blade Runner, if you guys are familiar.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of indies.
Yeah. This actually kind of looked cool, I thought.
Yeah, well, indies in general usually look really good for the most part.
Yeah, like it was
kind of a lot of this block. I'm just interested to see more of it when it releases. There's also something called The Artful Escape, another indie that looked kind of neat. Doing a bunch of different stuff. Also a weird look to it, kind of a cardboardy cutout look, and it's also 2D with 3D elements. That's a big thing for indie. If people have not caught on 2D with 3D elements. Something called Code Vein, which looks like a bunch of anime vampires. So Shane, that's your alley, right?
Why? Why would you say
I'd
something?
say out of everyone on Pajodcast Media, you watch the most anime.
I think that's probably true, but that doesn't mean that I like this.
So you're officially the anime guy.
I think that just winning because I'm the one that has more than 0, other than like beyond just Dragon Ball Z and whatnot. I don't think that makes me the anime guy.
What did you think of anime vampires and Code Vein?
Sorry, what was the name of it again?
Code Vein.
Oh, wait, it's coming back to me slightly. Sorry, I've seen a lot of games in the past couple of days.
Me too.
Yeah. Let me see here. I think I missed this one, actually. How did I miss this one?
It looked really anime in Japan. Most games of that ilk have a certain style. While Shane's looking that up, I'll just say that the guys who made Gone Home are making another game called Tacoma, which is out on August 2nd. That looks really cool. If it's like their first game, Gone Home, don't expect it to be very long and don't expect it to be very engaging from a gameplay perspective. Those guys make walking simulators with some good narrative. I don't know if that's what Tacoma is, but it looks like it. So there was also a game called Cuphead, which looks like a old school 1920s Mickey Mouse cartoon in game, where you are a cup with a straw in their head. That is an indie that's coming out September 29th. That looked pretty cool. You guys know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was
like it's almost in black and white completely, and it's like an old school cartoon reel. Like that's how the game looks.
I have to go in like 3 minutes. So before we go, there's one thing I really wanted to quickly hit on.
Yep, that's fine.
The biggest, obviously, in my opinion, best announcement, the best game that I've seen at E3 in a while is Anthem.
Yeah, that's non-exclusive to be fair, but yes.
But that's where I saw it was
shown at the Microsoft conference. Well, they teased it at the EA, but they didn't show anything.
Yeah, they actually showed the gameplay this one, and oh my fucking god, I have not seen it. It looks like you're jumping into a world that's as beautiful as Avatar, but even way more badass. And not that I was a particularly big fan of the Avatar movie per se, but the world that was created was incredibly sexy. And this world looks even better than that.
Almost reminded me of Star Wars in a way, in some of the ways with the canteen and the different races.
And it's like but the outside world is like exploding with lushness, right? There's like so much life and everything everywhere, and there's like cities in the air, and there's islands that are like floating, and oh my god, it just
and then you get an Iron Man itself and fly over there in an open world, and I'm just like, okay, right? I'll take that. I was saying to Chris that one of the things that Anthem had to do for me once they showed me that they have suits is the suits couldn't just be jump packs like Destiny, but they couldn't be giant mechs like Titanfall. They had to carve their own niche, and they were like, "We'll just make him Iron Man then." And I'm like, you know what? That's okay. That's okay.
Remember when he goes under the water? I was like, okay.
Oh man, the fact that it's open world. I was talking to a friend of the site, Pajodcast DM, Dane, and he was really disappointed in Anthem because he sees it as a push away from BioWare's traditional RPG elements, but I'd argue they've been moving away from them since even the later Mass Effect days. And I'd say if you didn't play Mass Effect 3, you would be missing out on the reality that there's people at that BioWare studio that can make some fun games from a gameplay perspective. The shooting got so good that the idea that they're going to throw me in a mech suit with various different abilities and customization options, there's going to be RPG elements around it. Maybe it's not what you expect from a traditional BioWare RPG, but I kind of think that's a good thing. It's been a while since we've seen BioWare do something different.
So BioWare has 800 employees. They can continue to do their traditional thing a little bit too. Like there's nothing saying that they have to stop work on everything else that's more traditional. But as far as I'm concerned, Anthem is the most excited I've been for a single video game title, a new IP, in a very long time. So I am very looking forward to this game. There's just so much about it that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. There's the action elements, there's the beautiful world, there's the co-op elements.
The traversal is so good. Oh.
It is, yeah. But I got to head out, guys. And I just remember that I'm in control of the podcast, so
we'll call it. I'll just quickly do a quick wrap up here, and then we'll call it. So I'll just quickly say that there was a bunch of other stuff shown at this press conference that I think looked really good. There was a Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor look that is also third party. You know, lots of stuff going on in that game. You can control orcs, you can control a bunch of different stuff. That game looks really impressive. They're expanding upon the Nemesis system. There was a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest called Ori and the Will-o-the-Wisp that looked really good. Sea of Thieves looks really cool as well. Another ship game, kind of with a cartoony style. That one's being made by Rare. I think people would be interested in checking that out. And there was a game that I want to get Chris's thoughts on before we call it here, and that is the prequel to the Life is Strange. I know Chris is a big fan of Life is Strange. What do you think of them doing a prequel set when Chloe is younger?
It'll be an interesting twist. I know you are a massive fan of Chloe, Ryan. So
if you don't know, by the way, Chris, they are replacing the voice actress for Chloe.
Yeah, I kind of caught on to that.
Not due to choice, but there is a writer's strike going on currently, a voice actor strike going on currently. So the voice actor who was voicing her, obviously due to being part of that, is not.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm curious how it'll work because obviously there's gonna be no powers, so I'm curious to see how that'll work.
Also, Crackdown 3, Terry Crews. That bit was funny. I laughed. That's it. That's pretty much
the
it.
game looked that great personally.
Yeah. That pretty much covers it. There was a lot of games. They did show a lot of games, but a lot of it was indie, and a lot of it can be summed up in. We'll check it out if we are interested. The big takeaway was Anthem was fantastic to see.
It's true.
I think that's for sure.
And the Xbox
anyway,
One's
that's
strong and expensive, but yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it.
All right, guys, I am heading out on behalf of the Pajod crew-ish. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Watch some trailers, people. Check out video games. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Game, they say.
So I'm joined today by I'm Shane. Joined today by Ryan, the overwhelming nuclear power plant of power, and Christopher. His dad was probably a Miller. Miller? No, Dad's dad.
No.
Dad's dad. In Europe? Are there any Millers in your family? The names don't just come from nowhere. They don't just pop up. Like Bob
you
Fisher.
Need to end. You need to hit stop. The joke is over.
Have a great night, everybody.
Indeed.
Goodbye.